Hello, I'm Matty O'Boyle with Realear.com and welcome to this screencast. In this screencast, we're going to really take an in-depth look at how asymmetry works in the Arpeggio web app. So when we designed this web app, we had to deal with the idea that some chords have different numbers of notes than other chords, as well as some patterns of arpeggios have different number of notes than other patterns. So you will notice that the metronome is still defined in beats per minute, as metronomes are in music. We have the subdivisions turned on the metronome section, so you're always hearing a note from an arpeggio on a click. But there really are subdivisions of 30 beats per minute or whatever you want to set your metronome at. So when we get into asymmetry, it's going to sound like different asymmetrical patterns or chords defined by the number of notes in the chord are either going faster or slower than other patterns or chords. And in a sense, it's true, and in a sense, it's not true. For example, if I have my metronome set at 25 beats per minute, I'm really only hearing the same patterns laid out at 25 beats per minute. But if there are more notes in either the chord or in the pattern or in both, it's going to sound like the metronome is speeding up because it needs to get more information, aural information, auditive information. It needs to get more of that information into the same amount of time. So if there's less notes and less chords, obviously it will sound like it's slowing down. So let's create asymmetry. Let's first do it in patterns. I'll choose this pattern, the up pattern, and the up down pattern. And of course, as soon as I choose it, I will get this dialog saying allow asymmetry. We're going to accept. When it does, you can see that this is now changed and it is lit up. It is on. So the dictation is going to give me a C major chord either as an up pattern or as an up down pattern. Let's go. Your turn. Okay, so there you go. That's an example of asymmetry. And it's a little bit more advanced to be practicing your arpeggios like that, but it's very useful. The other kind of asymmetry that can happen, and let's just leave one pattern here, is, as I mentioned before, you can have chords that have a different number of notes. I can have the C chord, C major chord, and then maybe a C major seventh. Okay, so if I have this off, let's do that again with my asymmetry off, and I select the A major seventh, I get my dialog here. Yes, I accept. And we'll hear something similar as far as our perception of the speed of the arpeggio comparing one of those chord forms to the other. Can you hear that difference? Okay, so there you go. That's a demonstration of asymmetry. Asymmetry is more complex than doing your dictations without asymmetry. So if I do my dictations without asymmetry, I can, for example, let's say I wanted to use the major seventh chord, but I also wanted to add another chord. Well, I could add a different major seventh chord, for example, the F major seventh chord, or I could add another chord that has the same number of notes. A great way to work on your ear training while you're doing your arpeggios is to contrast two different chord forms of the same chord. And that's a pretty cool thing to do as well. Also, you can add another pattern as long as it's the same pattern, the same number of notes in the pattern. Okay, so there's plenty to do without asymmetry and even more to do with asymmetry. If anybody has any questions, contact us through the Contact Us form, and I'll be happy to go into further depth about asymmetry and the Arpeggio Ear Training web app. Have a crack at it, have a go, and see how it goes.